if you can give yourself a year to figure things out, that you can change anything in a year. So if you're a business owner watching the show right now and you can put aside a year's worth of stuff, if you can just freeze lifestyle for a year and put away a year's worth of your stuff, you know that if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, you have a year to reinvent yourself.
So you have a passion for fitness and the desire to start your own business. But launching a massively successful fitness business is extremely complex. The systems, operations, hiring, firing, coaching, sales, and marketing are critical to success. Where do you even start? This show will give you the answers. Here is Bedros Keuilian and Bryce Henson, your hosts of the Fitness Franchise Podcast, a show dedicated to helping fitness entrepreneurs launch and grow successful gyms.
Welcome back, friends, to another incredible episode, and today's guest is incredible. Before I get to that, I want to give you a friendly reminder to give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an awesome review on iTunes. That way we can keep producing this content for you for free. So now today's guest, who's a dear friend of mine who I've been working for 6 months to get on this show, who's a former Wall Street banker for Goldman Sachs, 4 times featured on the Inc. 500 entrepreneurial list, has had 6 exits in 19 years and sold his company, Telus Properties. He grew by 10x to $3.4 billion exit. And you're going to learn today some tips and strategies how to grow and sell your company. Sharan, welcome to the show.
Hey man, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Oh, I'm so excited. It's been a few months in the making, and finally got you here. So a lot to talk about today.
Yep.
First and foremost, want to hear the backstory.
Well, it's hard to ask for a backstory because it feels like there's so many pieces to the puzzle, right? So for a lot of times, here's the one thing that I want to share. If I can do it, almost anybody can do it. Almost. Not everybody. Everybody likes to say, well, if Sharan can do it, if I can do it, you can do it. It's not the case. If I can do it, almost anybody can do it if a few things are in place. So let me give you some context. I was born in India to amazing parents. Not a lot of people can say that. Some people have estranged parents, etc. Amazing parents. They're still alive today. They have been awesome to me. And my dad very early on figured out that something was just not quite right.
With you?
With me. With me. Because I would get in trouble in school. He's like, why did you fail out of like art in 5th grade? Why can't you hold a tune in music? Why can't you add numbers? And then in India, they don't really test you for being colorblind. I can't tell colors. Of course, I failed out of art. I'm completely tone deaf. Of course, I fail out of music. I am dyslexic, so I can't read and I can't do math. I couldn't, at least at that time. And for the only child that my parents had, that's kind of rough. And my dad, who had never been outside of India, said to me, he goes, there is this country far, far away called the United States, or maybe Canada. If you screw that all up, you can go to Australia. But all of that. But he says, I heard they're a lot more welcoming to artistic people like you. And this was his dream. He's like, I just need to get you out. And I remember him sitting me down on a park bench one day. I was 10-ish years old. And he's like, hey, I think we have to come up with a plan for you to do better elsewhere. And I think about a 10-year-old being told that he can't live at home anymore, right? It was weird.
Yeah.
But my parents are amazing, and he told the story really well. And he said, you don't have to do anything right now, but we have to find a way to give you options. And I'll really underscore that because we're going to talk about the word options a lot today.
Okay.
Because it's not about the result, it's about having a lot of options. And he says, but we need to give you some options of either staying in India or leaving to go to the US or living in Canada or whatever. But how are you going to get out? You're not going to like crush the SATs because you're dyslexic. So what are you going to do? So he said, the easiest way is to pick a sport. Because you're not artistic and you can't do music. So we're going to have to use athletics in some way. And we were sitting on a park bench in front of 2 tennis courts. And he literally looks at me, Bryce, and he says, can you cut it? I'm like, cut what? And at 10, I started taking tennis lessons, and that became the obsession. Not for any other reason, but to use it as a passport to get out of the country.
Dude, that's incredible.
Yeah,
I knew that you grew up playing tennis. I did not know that's actually how it came to be.
It was a means to an end. It was a way to get out of India.
Good for you, man. You were a visionary. I guess your dad is as well. So walk us through that. You obviously then, pick up your tennis game. You come to the States. You arrive in Iowa. Let's unpack that.
Yeah. So what happened was, we agreed as a family, my mom, dad, and I, that we would put everything as secondary. Meaning everything in my life was secondary. Tennis was primary for a short amount of time because that would get me out of the country. And meaning I would wake up, breathe, live, tennis. If that meant I got lower grades, it did not matter. So I would get the B's and the B minuses, some C's, but tennis was like I had to keep getting better. And finally, when the day came, my parents sold everything that they had. Everything.
And you're just talking probably when you finished high school?
Yeah. When I finished high school, my parents sold everything that they had for me to come to the States. In fact, this is crazy. My dad sold his scooter. We didn't have a car. My dad sold his scooter to get me a plane ticket.
Holy smokes.
He did not have transportation. My parents rode the bus after they sent me to the US. And here's how they sent me, dude. They gave me one check, which was for 1 year of school. Everything, tuition, room, board, laundry, books, everything. I had 1 year's completely paid for. Mm-hmm. And he said, here's 1 year's, it's a check for a year. I know you'll do great. Hopefully you can make it years 2, 3, and 4, and you'll figure it out. But if you can't, come back and we'll take care of you. That was their safety net.
Holy smokes.
And so they handed me one check. I had a couple of bags in my racket bag, sold their scooter, and off to the States.
Off to the States you went.
Yeah.
Good for you, man. Holy smokes.
It's a lot of pressure, though, if you think about it. While that was pressure for me, different people have to deal with that in a different way, right? Different people gave different gifts to people. Mm-hmm. And that was their gift to me. And I actually think I needed that. I needed that pressure to be like, okay, what do I do next? I have a year to do something.
To figure it out.
To figure it out. And a lot of business owners watching the show, they get a little startup capital. They get a loan from the bank. They get an SBA loan. They do friends and family. They get a year going, mm-hmm. right? But you need that pressure. Some crack under it, and it's okay. Mm-hmm. But the others are like, I have a year to figure it out. Mm-hmm. And dude, I will tell you this. If you can give yourself a year to figure things out, that you can change anything in a year. So if you're a business owner watching the show right now and you can put aside a year's worth of stuff, if you can just freeze lifestyle for a year and put away a year's worth of your stuff, you know that if the world goes to hell in a handbasket, you have a year to reinvent yourself. Mm-hmm. And that was the biggest lesson of that check to me, looking back, was I have a year to figure it out. And I'll give you 2 really fun stories. So I show up, I fly to Chicago. I land in Chicago. I'd never been to the States before.
Because you were in school in Iowa.
Going to school in Iowa. So I land in Chicago. And this was timed by pre-cell phones and all of this, right? So the university tells me, hey, we'll have someone come pick you up. Just meet here, right? They'll have a signboard that says Sharan at the Chicago O'Hare Airport, right? Yeah. So I land, I'm waiting. It's like an hour goes by, 2 hours goes by, 4 hours goes by, 8 hours goes by. It's evening now. And I'm like, well, what do I do? I have no number, I have nobody to call. So I'm like, well, they'll come. So I just lay on the little airport bench, sleep the night. Next morning, I get a page. Sharran Srivatsaa, please pick up a white courtesy phone. I'm like, what? So I pick up. You never want your name called at the airport. Like you don't. You'd never.
Main our media guys laughing in the background. That's not good.
Yeah, you never want that, right? So I pick up the phone and it says, hey, the person that was supposed to pick you up had a car troubles or whatever. They want you to grab this bus to Moline, Illinois, and they'll meet you in Moline, Illinois. I have no idea where Moline, Illinois is. So I said, great, I need to take bus 17 to Moline, Illinois. Awesome. So I grab my stuff. I have like $100 and a couple of loose change, and I find this bus and I jump on this bus to go to Moline, Illinois. I remember this like yesterday. And then the Moline, Illinois ride's like not supposed to be far, like a couple hours, I think. Well, 2 hours go by, 4 hours go by, like 6 hours go by, and I'm like, where are we? It's night again. And then we pull into this bus depot, and the driver comes back to me. He's like, "Hey kid, where are you trying to go?" And I said, "Moline, Illinois." He's like, "Moline's the other direction." Oh no! So now clearly my 17, I thought was 71, dyslexic, whatever. So I think I jumped on the wrong bus.
Wow.
And funny when you look back. But I got better over time. And so I was like, "Where are we?" Like, "You're in La Crosse, Wisconsin." I'm like, "Where is La Crosse, Wisconsin?" So now I'm in this town, La Crosse, Wisconsin, somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And he's like, "Hey, you may want to like get into the bus depot, hang out there for a little bit, and figure out your game plan tomorrow." I was like, "All right." So I grabbed this one big duffel bag that I have, jump out of the bus. I'm the only one in this bus depot. And out of nowhere, this guy jumps at me with a knife. Like, I get mugged on my first day in the US, right? I go, "This cannot be happening." So this guy in a hoodie has a knife, and he's like, "Hey, give me all your money." I was like, "Bro, I got nothing," right? And he's like, "There's no way." So he opens my bag, searches for stuff, and I tell him, I don't have any money. And he says, "There's got to be a way." And I was afraid for my life, you know?
Clearly.
So I had $100 and some change. So I pull out the $100 from my wallet. I didn't even have a wallet. I pull out the $100, and I told him I have $100 left. My parents gave this to me. I flew in from India yesterday. I'm trying to go to school in Iowa. I got dropped here, and he's like, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I told him straight up, "It doesn't look like you want to hurt me, and looks like you need some money." I respect that. Some version of this, I can't remember. And I was like, "If I gave you this $100, would you give me 50 back?" And he just starts laughing. To the mugger, right?
Making business deals day 2, Sharran.
So I was, but I would have been in La Crosse, Wisconsin, not knowing where to go. So I hand him the $100. I kid you not, Bryce. He pulls out his wallet, tattered, torn, deals me back a 20, 20, and a 5. Grumbles, walks away. So I got $45 back.
So he mugs you.
He mugs me.
But you still keep 45.
45 out of that. What else do I do? And I think it was just instinct that kicked in. If you asked me that today, I'd be like, "Take everything, like, you know, see you later." But that $45 got me to campus.
Wow.
So there's always some kindness out there, man. There are people that they don't want to do crazy things to you. You just have to ask. There's a great Tony Robbins quote that says, "The world will give you whatever you ask for. You just have to ask for it intelligently." Right? Like,
yeah.
And so sometimes when we ask for stuff, we're like, you're not trying to negotiate, but it's like I think it's the universe will give you whatever you ask for. You just have to ask for it intelligently. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big fan of that quote. And so it forces you to think about a better way to ask for something every single time.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah. So.
All right, so you're here in the States, you get mugged, you somehow figure out a way to negotiate, $45 back in your pocket. Walk us through. I know you went to school in Iowa, then you ended up getting your MBA at Vanderbilt. Then you enter the workforce as an investment banker, Wall Street style. So can you unpack that for us? Yeah, so one story that everybody should know is that these shenanigans didn't stop. So I get to campus, and we get there for orientation. And my first day on campus, I walk over to financial services, whatever, and I hand them this check that my dad gave me. And I said, "Here's my check." And she's like, "Hey, welcome to school. Here are your keys to your dorm room. By the way, since this is an international check, it's going to take like 10 to 14 days to clear." Most people don't understand this stuff. This was, even you're too young for this. Like, this was when, in the 90s. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "Okay, that's fine." She's like, "Well, this doesn't unlock your meal plan right now." Which means I don't have food. No food. Because your food's tied to the dorms. Yeah, tied to dorm and my. So I was like, okay, I have no food, but not forever, just till the check clears. So I was like, okay, so I hit every rush party, I hit every club party, I hit every root beer float party available. I went to every party, right? And then on the weekend, all these parties died. There were no parties, and I was like, I don't know how to get food. So I was walking by. It was late at one evening, and I saw a couple of kids throw 2 pizza boxes into a dumpster, like later in the evening. I was like, I'm hungry. I haven't eaten for like 12 plus hours. So I wait till it gets dark. I bite my pride, put my hoodie on, jump in this little 8x10 dumpster, grab a couple of these pizza boxes, look at it, a couple of slices in it, grab the slices and book it to my room. It's like, okay, that was fine.
Only a couple more days left. I'll be okay. The next day, I'm still hungry. I go and find myself sitting by this dumpster. I see these two guys drop Subway sandwiches, clearly, like in transparent bags, into this dumpster. I'm like, bonanza, this is awesome. No one will know, only a couple more days. I wait till the sun go down, put my hoodie on, jump in the dumpster, grab the Subway sandwiches. I also see the good old All-American box of Pop-Tarts. I'm like, how can you not grab some Pop-Tarts? Right at that time, it was dark. I see two beady eyes in the corner. I had no idea. It's just an 8x10 dumpster. This is not big. It smells terrible. Out of nowhere, something just swacks me in the face and I just start bleeding. There was a raccoon that whacked me on my cheek. And I'm bleeding, holding this bag of this bag of the Subway sandwiches and this bag of Pop-Tarts. And this is all happening live. And I kick the raccoon.
Those things are mean.
Oh yeah, I kick the raccoon and I stumble out of this dumpster. I'm not like, there's nothing to even kick off of, not even athletic. Can't do a box jump or anything. So I jump and I just run. And I'm bleeding and I'm like, should I get a tetanus shot first or should I eat the sandwich first, right? I ate the sandwich first, then went and got my tetanus shot. But there's a lesson here. The lesson is, I thought to myself, I'm sitting on that park bench eating the sandwich and I thought to myself, is this the lowest point? This is the lowest point it's ever been in my life. Is this, like I've had to, like my parents, I did not tell my parents a story of dumpster diving for food. In fact, I've never told them yet. They've heard it when I've said it on a podcast somewhere.
I was going to say, like, they might see this.
They might see this, and that was not a fun thing because they gave up everything for me to be able to do that.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But I thought to myself, if this is the lowest point, I'll be okay. A lot of times we don't know what our lowest point is. A lot of times our low points are not tested. What's going to happen? You're going to be out of a job? Okay, well, how long? You got 3, 6, 9 months, then you can go live with your family? It's okay. That does not give you, that should give you more inspiration to go after that big dream. Because we think that the lowest point is here, but there's so much more to go, right? What we think is the lowest point is barely there. And I was sitting there thinking, that was a really eye-opening thing for me, and I'll tell you what it did for me. It gave me the chance to learn to take more risk. That's what it did. I was like, I can take more risk now. Where most people were actually playing, I wouldn't call it safe, but I just could take on more risk because I realized that if this is as low as I can get, I'll be okay.
You can handle it.
I'll be okay.
Yeah.
And that small little thing, like, still sticks with me saying, what's going to happen? If I lost everything, I'll be okay.
And you thought of that in the moment?
Because I had to do it that way. I'll be okay, right? And knowing that you will be okay is a very powerful thing. And I'll tell you, man, that's why if you're a franchise owner with Fit Body Bootcamp, for example, knowing that you have Bryce and the Fit Body team is huge. That is your backstop. That is if you hit rock bottom and they call you, you're there for them. That's huge, right? Knowing that that your lowest point, you can still win from there is amazing for the spirit. It allows it gives you a feeling of safety.
Dude, Sharan, it's so interesting. I was watching a podcast of the late Kobe Bryant, maybe last week, and he was talking about like his experience like entering the league or like as he was wanting to play professional. And before he even got to that, one of the things that he realized is his parents, they loved him no matter what.
Yeah.
And it was interesting. It was like a very humbling moment for him because he's like, you know what, at the end of the day, if this doesn't work out, I'm still loved. I still have my family. I'm going to be fine. It just gave me that much more determination to go after my dream.
Yeah.
That was the first time I heard it. Now I'm hearing it in a slightly different way. Yeah. Really powerful.
And it means different things mean like impact you in different ways. For me, I was just fortunate that it happened early for me. For a lot of times, when do people turn around and have banging bodies? After they get a divorce. I don't mean this in a negative way.
It's true. Yeah.
But something tragic happened. They're like, this can't happen anymore, and they go change their life. Or they have a conversation with their doctor, and the doctor says, you're going to die in 6 months. They give them a reality check, and then they hit, that's rock bottom, so they transform their lives.
Totally.
From that. Hey, the folks that go bankrupt once create insane wealth later.
Totally.
Why? Because they've tested the low point. and they realize that, oh my gosh, I can handle this, so I can take on more risk and I can do more. I can do better. And sometimes if you don't hit, like out of the ashes comes the phoenix, it's a very important thing. And I'm not telling you to go and you have to have a low point. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying there's two things. One, use my low point as yours. Right? Just say, hey, if this kid who could barely like add numbers and tell colors apart can try to do this, like let me try to get that low point. Because if you live in this zone, you will only live in this zone. If you open that zone up, the top opens up too. And I think that's super important. That's why folks that want to get a steady job, which is fine, they're going to be steady. But the more risk you take, the more you make. Not joy, money, whatever. And so give yourself the gift of being able to take more risk.
Yeah, it's super important in life, especially if you're going to be an entrepreneur and really achieve any success that's not normal. And if you're watching this podcast, you don't want to be average, you don't want to be normal, you want to go after it. So
yeah. So we did. So I found we'll skip over a couple of stories. I found a way to pay for college.
The last 3 years, because you had the one. I
had the one. It's a 10-second story. It'll make sense. But most people are so spoiled right now because they have Wi-Fi and internet and all of that, right? Yeah. We didn't have any of that. And I'll keep the math aside. But if you entered my dorm room, it was bed, closet, desk, walkway, bed, closet, desk. So it was a two-person room. And they had these internet boxes that were right by the door. But it was bed, closet, desk. And we didn't have the laptops. I was like, how are you going to get the box from there to the desk?
Like hardwired?
The wire.
Yeah.
But no one had wire. So I measured it. It was like 19 feet. And me and my roommate maxed out my roommate's credit cards. And we bought Ethernet cable at Mass from the Mall of America, and then we came and we sold Ethernet cable at 4x prices. I sold 19-foot cable for like 4 times the margin. And I literally made like $56,000 in one weekend because I just sold it.
Like all the dorm rooms?
I sold it for 1,000 dorm rooms. And just got super lucky, but I didn't even pay for it. It was my roommate's parents.
You put it on his credit card. And
roommate's parents' credit card. And we made it all back in 4 days.
And that's how you funded your next 3 years of school?
I did a paper route. I did a couple other things, but that funded year 1, year 2, and I got a couple of internships, but that was the beginning. Yeah.
Dude, you're a smart guy.
No, man. It just
visionary, dude.
Necessity, right? You're like, how do I get this cable from here to that desk over there without any cable? And everyone needed cable, so I provided the cable. There's a great, I don't know which copywriter said this, but he's like, hey, imagine you're opening a burger joint. What do you need for this burger joint to be really successful? You make a great burger, great logo, great marketing, great service. No, you just need a starving crowd. Right? I had just found the starving crowd, and my cable was the burger. And a lot of times we're just like, I don't like the copy, I don't like the pink font, I don't like where the header is, I don't like how the page looks. No one cares. Nobody cares. The person that is looking through and trying to figure out, they feel fat, they're laying in bed, I need to get a workout in tomorrow. You think they care about no, they just want easy way to pay to get to a class tomorrow.
Yeah, they're in pain.
That's it, right? And so I think the starving crowd is the answer. In everything that we do, we just have to ask who is the starving crowd here? And if you could solve the starving crowd thing, everything gets a lot easier.
And that's a very tactical element. The other takeaway that just listening to your story, Sharran, and B says this, you coming from third world country, the immigrant edge mentality, and what he says is in the lack of resources, you have to be resourceful. And I think that's another business lesson to our crowd right here, because you know this, for every business owner or entrepreneur, you have to get resourceful in order to maybe find that starving crowd.
Yeah. Totally. We did. So I got a computer science math degree, and this is where my life started to change. This was during the boom, the internet boom, the .com boom, and I was at a programming contest. So I was a nerd. I was a coder, and I pitched this idea that I wrote at this programming contest at Berkeley in California. There were 3 judges. Talk about serendipity. One of the judges, after I presented, comes over to me and says, "Hey kid, great job. You're not going to win. But I think you have a great idea. And your idea is the missing link for the company that I just funded." I'll go, Great. That's what I'm here for. So he matches me up with the company that he just funded as an investor.
Okay.
I joined them. They'd already have a startup. They were raising money. They took my idea, which is a white paper. They put it into their product. And then within a short amount of time, during the dot-com boom, built, grow, sold that business. I was not founder, but I was one of the earliest employees that allowed me to get early equity in something that sold for over $500 million. So,
and that happened, you got a piece of that.
I got a piece of that. So not as much as my founders got,
sure,
but I got enough to take 5 years off. But I also didn't have any expenses, right?
5 years off, I mean, this is just after you graduated college?
I was 21. Oh. So I worked for a year and a half, and I was able to take 5 years off. And I paid off all loans that I had. I made sure my parents were good. And I spent 5 years teaching tennis.
From the time you were 21 to 26, this
Correct.
is your first exit.
Yeah.
This is incredible.
5 years teaching tennis. So I spent 5 years in the Caribbean, in Dubai, and on Maui for 5 years. And then I realized I was like, okay, well, what am I doing with my life? And my mentor said to me, the same guy who invested in me, who was the judge in that contest, he kind of took a liking to me. He became my mentor, and he's like, you're not going to get a job anywhere.
Why do you say that?
Who's going to hire a teaching pro? Who's going to hire a tennis pro? He's like, you should go to business school. I was like, what would I go to business school for? He goes, you should go to business school, and then if you go to business school to Wall Street, you've already got the technology experience. If you get the Wall Street experience, you'd be unbeatable. I'm like, okay. So took all the tests that were required. I went to business school at Vanderbilt, which is great. And then with my eyes just set on going to Wall Street. There was nothing else. All I wanted to do was that. The crazy part is, it is very hard to get on Wall Street. I had 39, just Goldman Sachs. I got a job post business school at Goldman Sachs.
And Credit Suisse.
But I wanted to go to Goldman. In my entire business, in my entire class, in the entire year that year, Goldman only hired 30 people from business schools. Every school, 30 people.
30 total.
30 business school grads. I had 39 one-on-one interviews.
In the process.
39 individually scheduled, 3 cities, one-on-one interviews. Not including coffees, informational meetings, dinners, nothing. 39 individual and you have people now whining about doing 3 Zooms. 39 one-on-one interviews. Dude, I had an interview where the guy walks into me, he lays down his dossier of like people that he's trying to call as an investment banker. And he says, here's a phone, here's my dossier, call them, get me appointments. In an interview.
What did you do?
Well, I'll tell you what I did. I was like, I look at him, I was like, I have no idea what to do. I was like, do you have a script you can give me? And I'm happy to call everybody. I am not joking, Bryce. He looked at me, he smiled, he put the dossier back in his bag, he shook my hand, he says, you do great. And he left. And I saw him in the hallway later and I said, what do you mean? Like, why did you do that? He goes, every single hotshot that walked in this room, I gave them that book. They picked up the phone. They thought they were so good. They're like, hey, my name is Bryce Henson. They started trying to call.
Yeah.
You were the only one that said, just give me a script.
Let's reverse engineer this.
Like, how do you know what you're going to call about? I was like, I'll do anything you want. Just tell me. I wanted to show that. I literally asked. I didn't know what to say. So I was like, well, just teach me what to say and I'll say it. And he's like, you're the only one that just asked for some guidance. Everyone else just thought, I don't want you to do what you do. I just want you to be trainable, coachable, be a good member of the team. And that's when I was like, oh, maybe I should just ask for help more. Maybe I just call Bedros and be like, hey man, what do you say in a situation like this? And he gives you a script. You're like, thank you for the script. Copy, paste, send. Right? This stuff is not hard, right? And so 39 one-on-one interviews at the top investment bank in the world. And that was, that changed my life because.
And you got the gig.
Got the gig, yeah.
How long did that process, 39 in-person interviews, 3 cities take? At least a few months.
Yeah, it was a 3 to 6 month process. Yeah. It was that was the entire goal of business school was learn and get a job, and get a job that really elevates you, and that being in that bullpen taught me so much. So I did 3 years at Goldman, and then our entire team moved from Goldman to Credit Suisse. So we went 3 years at Goldman and 3 years at Credit Suisse.
So I want to dive into sooner than later to your experience at TELUS Properties.
Yeah, let's do that.
But before we do though, because it's not very often, Sharan, and why I've been trying to harass you again on this show, because you have such a breadth of experience, but Wall Street experience. So can you just talk about some highlights of that experience, maybe unpack a little bit and some learning lessons, in that period of Goldman Sachs and Credit Suisse for an audience that maybe doesn't know a ton about investment banking?
Yeah, so the idea of investment banking is, just think about investment banking as a very sophisticated real estate agent. They're putting a buyer and a seller. They're putting deals together. They want either buying companies, buying a property, but instead of it being a house, they're just selling stuff. Maybe an oil pipeline, a big company, a piece of a company, hundreds of apartment buildings, et cetera. They're just trying to put big deals together. And the thing that I learned there was, this managing partner took me under his wing and he said, if you learn this one skill and you fall in love with this one skill, you can print money for the rest of your life. And I was like,
what is this one skill?
What is this one skill? And he said, you have to fall in love with the art of structuring deals. And I was like, how do you do that? He goes, just watch. It's time. He goes, your entire time on Wall Street, I just want you to watch and see how deals are structured. That could be, hey, you're going to buy this company, but can you buy this company? I'm buying your company. Can you buy this company for zero money down? I was like, no, why not? And we bought companies for zero money down. Maybe you take a seller note. Maybe the bank helps them. I can come out of pocket $0 and buy a business. I had no idea how to do that. That started to open my mind. Since then, I've helped so many people buy companies for no money down. It gets very exciting when you could say, tomorrow, I can own a $10 million business and I didn't put one penny out. It's structuring of a deal, which is pretty cool, right?
We were just talking offline how you bought a company in 37 minutes with Bitcoin. I mean, now I'm connecting the dots. This is like company structuring.
Deal structuring, I realized that my gift, my superpower was
your zone of genius.
Is like when I see something, I'm like, oh, that piece is worth that. That piece is worth that. These three people want that. We can all do this deal on a piece of paper. To me, that's what I learned.
But I feel like the art of that is to take complex, abstract things, but then to be able to pull it together like in a very simple form, so it's understandable. Would that be fair to say? Or
yes, sort of. But a lot of that, the simplicity comes with a lot of reps, right? Like if you go in the gym and we do curls, well, it's simple because you have so many reps. Well, for the person coming in new, they don't know if they're supernating or pronating. They have no idea, right? So reps are really important in this stuff. And so how many contracts have I seen? Hundreds. How many non-compete clauses have I seen? Hundreds. How many debt structuring? Hundreds. So it's very hard to pull one off of me, only because I have made so many mistakes and lost so much money. I know I'm probably better than most people in the world at structuring deals. Most people, not every, because I have lost more money structuring deals. Not because I've done more. I have lost so much money. I had a deal where I was supposed to make, we'll do dollars, $50. And I ended up making $5. Only because I didn't see one clause in the contract.
Oh.
And no one pointed it out to me.
What about your attorney or?
No one pointed it out to me. And so here I am getting a wire and be like, I'm supposed to get 50. How did I get 5? And then this clause is called the ratchet. Something happened and it ratcheted my 50 down to 5. Do you think that I put that into contracts right now? Hell yeah. Right? Because I want to see, because now that's a beneficial strength for me. So when I represent you, when I advise you, you get 15, 20 years of all these mistakes, and it doesn't faze me anymore. So when I get a contract now, it doesn't bother me anymore. And that's what the biggest part about Goldman was. That happened. The second biggest lesson, I'll tell you, the numbers, Bryce, were so big. It was tens of millions, hundreds of millions, billions of dollars, right? You see these big numbers. So the first few times, it was just like, my hand would shake. But after a while, the size of the number, the size of that didn't bother me anymore.
You just get a little numb to it.
Yeah, and so it's like that building is a $100 million building, that building is a $10 million building. Well, it's just an asset. Let's structure the deal. So my anxiety so a lot of times when people walk into it, they're like, oh, that's a celebrity. I'm like, I don't have that effect anymore. To me, if someone tells me their net worth is $97 million, I've seen more. So it doesn't like phase me anymore. Before that, it would have phased me. For the average person, even if they had the skill, for them to do a $100 million deal versus a $5 million, they'd be like, this is $100 million, your hand should shake, you have sweaty palms. Yep. I don't. Only because I saw so many big numbers that I just felt so much more comfortable with the money aspect of it.
Just because of the reps.
Yeah, the reps.
So before you transitioned, how long were you in the investment banking space?
6 years in investment banking, and the transition's a really great story. 6 years in investment banking, and the same guy who gave me the original shot.
In Berkeley, California.
In Berkeley, California, because he was like, hey kid, I told you to go to Goldman. He became my client at Goldman. He wanted to do the right thing. So he became my client at Goldman, helped me do deals at Goldman. So he was my client. He became my client at Credit Suisse. He was my client. And then he told me this. He said, Bryce, he says, Sharan, I invested in this company, the small real estate company in Beverly Hills, California. It has 25, 30 agents. Next time you're in California visiting me, I'd love for you to maybe just meet with the CEO and give him some consulting advice on how he can grow his business, because I don't think it's growing very well. I was like, hey man, anything for you. You're my client. You're my mentor. Mm-hmm. So I show up in California, I have lunch with him, and then I meet with this company. And something just doesn't look right with this business. I was not sure what it was. So I asked for the books of the business, and I was looking at the P&Ls and the balance sheet. And I was like, something just doesn't feel right. And I said, can I take this home and kind of work with it? And I found some red flags. It just so happened that the CEO at that time of that small real estate business was embezzling. No wonder it was going the wrong direction, right? So I brought it to my...
You figured this out.
I was able to talk to the accountants. I just didn't look... It just didn't add up. It just didn't add up. Yeah. So I talked to my mentor, who was an investor, and I said, hey, you're an attorney. I just have to bring this to your attention. I think something's off. So he had to do something about it. Mm-hmm. So he told me, he's like, why don't you and I just buy this business? And we can run it. I was like, no, I don't want to buy this business. I don't have enough money to buy this business. And he wanted to buy a controlling stake in this business so we can operate it. He says, I either have to find a CEO or we have to buy a controlling stake to operate this. I'm not going to do this because I'm retired. What do you want to do? So I told him, hey, what about a middle ground where I take a leave of absence, I come and do this for 90 days, I help find a CEO, and then I go back to what I was doing in New York. He goes, okay. So I got my leave of absence. I show up. My job is to find a CEO to run this business.
In the next 90 days.
The next 90 days. Yeah. I was like, how hard is it going to be to find a CEO to run this business? And we pay a lot, right? This cleaned up books will be good for everybody. 90 days, couldn't find a CEO, couldn't even reconcile the business. It took a while.
Sure. And
then I had to make a choice. So I sold, I reverse mortgaged my house, borrowed money from friends and family. Me and my mentor bought out the original CEO to get a controlling stake.
But what had changed in that period of time where you're like, hey, I don't want to buy, I don't have enough money to all of a sudden like doubling down on this?
Because I thought the bones were good enough and I was like, I have a chance to work at this to make it better.
You saw it from a numbers perspective, an opportunity perspective? Like what did you see?
From a numbers and an opportunity perspective, but I also realized this, which is when I was at Goldman and doing investment banking, I was an advisor on the deals. Mm-hmm. I would come and talk to you and say, hey, this is what you should do with Fit Body Bootcamp. At the end of the day, yeah, I got a fee, hefty fee, great fee, but you got 99% and I got 1%. And then I would have to go do another deal to make the fee.
Yep.
And I just realized that there's two parties when it comes to entrepreneurship. They're principals who build and grow businesses, mm-hmm. and they're advisors. And I just didn't want to be on the advisory side anymore. I was like, the money's big, so the tips look big. Mm-hmm. $100 million deal, get 3%, that's $3 million, that's a good day. But I was like, can I play in that space? And this would be my chance to do that. So when we took over that business, we had 33 agents in one office in Beverly Hills.
And is this business TELUS?
TELUS Properties. It was a luxury real estate brokerage. I knew nothing about real estate. I don't even have my real estate license. I had no idea how to buy or sell a house apart from my own. We had 33 agents, single office in Beverly Hills, California. We put a plan together, which is a crazy story. I was building spreadsheets and models for this business, and by mistake, I added an extra zero. The 300, instead of it being 300 million, I added an extra zero, so it became 3 billion. And I looked at the numbers, I was like, if we did $3 billion, we would all just make so much money. This would be amazing. So I showed it to my partner. He's like, of course we would make money with $3 billion. But I was like, no, I think we can do this. And that was what was my driver. Because I saw the reality in front of my eyes of me making an error, putting an extra zero in a spreadsheet.
But you actually like manifested in your mind.
And I said, I want this. We grew from 33 agents and 1 office in Beverly Hills to 650 agents and 22 offices across California in 5 years. So we went 10x in 5 years.
And that's why you're known as the $1 billion man.
It's 10x in 5 years. It was, but I think it was that spreadsheet. It was that error of putting that extra zero that showed me everything. And then because we grew that fast, we had a great footprint. We were able to, a very large publicly traded company out of New York called Douglas Elliman wanted a California presence. And it would take 10 plus years to replicate what we'd built, and they bought us.
Good, man. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
So let's reverse engineer that, especially for audience who's like, oh my goodness, I'm looking to open a fitness business, let alone, I can't even imagine, creating a $3 billion company. Yeah. But I'm sure there's some like lessons and there's some strategies that you learn and apply that would be really relevant to our audience.
Yeah. So whether it's a $3 billion business or you're just starting out, 3 things that are super important to build and grow a business, right? Number 1, singularity of focus. If you don't have this singular focus of saying, hey, I want to get from here to here, if you don't have that dogged focus, if that spreadsheet had not changed for me, nothing would have worked. To me, when I was stuck, when things didn't go well, when we got hit with lawsuits, when we didn't have enough money, all I saw in my head was that spreadsheet of that error. The singularity of focus is ultimately important. Now, you want that singularity of focus to be as far out as possible, which is inspiring, but also semi-reachable. Not easily reachable, semi-reachable, right? So if someone's thinking, hey, I want to work for myself, I want to start this franchise, I want to get the support of the Fit Body team, I want to grow to 1 location, maybe add 3 more, and then build a team that can then service it, I do good in my community, that's a really good singularity of focus. Let's not go do that and then start something else on the side.
Cafe shop or
no.
A restaurant. Yeah.
Right. We're here to build this franchise. Let's go build this franchise.
Yep.
We want to build. I would love franchise owners to come to you and say, "Hey, Bryce, I want to buy 10. Just give me I probably can't, but I want to buy 10 over the next 5 years. Give me a plan to do that." Instead of saying, maybe I could eke by with 1. I'm not talking about the money, because if someone came to you and said, "I want to buy 10," you're going to be like, well, I like this guy, I like this gal. Let me lay out a plan. Yes, it may be a little hard, but the singularity of focus is so deep in that your conviction of the 1 and 2, it'll get done. Singularity of focus is super, super important because that allows you to stay relentless when the chips are not in your favor, right? So number 1, singularity of focus. Number 2, cadence of accountability. Nobody has ever done it on their own. Nobody has ever done it without a support system. So remember earlier on I said that if anybody can do this, people say if anybody can do this, if I can do this, anybody can do this.
You said almost.
Almost. Yeah. Not everybody can. So if you want to be Kobe, if you want to be Tiger, if you want to be Elon Musk, I'm sorry, you and I are not Elon. Elon's an alien, by the way. Like I don't think any of us can be Elon. But if you want to be,
you're a close second, Sharran. No,
but if you want to be Bedros, if you want to be Jason Capital, if you want to be you, I think instead of saying I want to be like that person, I think the fastest way to get there is to say, what is his support system? What is her support system? And my job is to just replicate that support system for me. Because that brings out my true genius. I'm not trying to be Bedros. I'm not trying to be Bryce. I'm not trying to be, Tony Robbins. I'm not trying to be Elon. I want to be my version of Bryce. I want to be my version of Bedros, right? Because otherwise, I'm not congruent. And the only way I can be my version of you is if I have you've shown me that your support system is working for you. There is no way you do this on your own.
Oh, heck no.
Right? There's no way.
No way.
So my job is to be like, how can I replicate that support system and be so doggone accountable to that? Because if I am, my cadence of accountability to that is so powerful. Like, I have an amazing coach. And I feel like if I...
Like a business coach?
Like a business coach, right? If I don't do what he and I agreed on, I'm letting him down.
Right.
And whatever it takes. And so I don't want to, I'd be like, well, I owe this tomorrow to him. I'll stay up all night to get it done because it's extremely important.
I totally agree. Honestly, Sharan, part of the reason I'm sitting in this seat as the CEO of Fit Body Bootcamp is because I hired Bedros as my coach for nearly, not quite a decade, well, at this point it's a decade, but probably 7 years before the opportunity presented to itself. And certainly I was there to build my own business and have my own success. But to your point, I definitely was there to make sure that I did the work because I wanted to make sure that my coach, Bedros, was, felt solved and fulfilled and that I wasn't dropping the ball. So that accountability is huge.
Well, and people think it's crazy. Like, I'll be ultra vulnerable. Right now, I have a business coach who only works on my mindset. Somebody that I can talk to about how I'm feeling, how I'm doing things. Not cheap, right? Not cheap. I'm in an amazing mastermind group that is with 2 coaches that are awesome, that are helping me with business tactical stuff on the stuff that I want to build.
Is this a Genius Network or is this another one?
It's another one. It's Taki Moore. He's great. It's in Boardroom. He's super cool. I have an energy coach. And a lot of people are like, oh, that's woo-woo. I'm telling you right now, she is my superpower.
How so? I mean, dude, you have amazing energy. So I say this like sincerely.
Yeah.
So like, how is that manifested for you?
Well, her job is to, her thing is, her one word is alignment. She says to me, hey, if you're living in your true alignment, you will shine. And whenever you're not feeling good, when you're feeling depressed, when you're just not out of alignment.
Right.
And a lot of the work we do together is, she does like, it's kind of wild. So she'll say, that doesn't feel right. I'm like, well, you just tapped your fingers. But that's her. And I don't care. And I don't question it. She's connected to Mother Universe and I don't care. I just get the benefit of it. Right? And when people think that, oh, that's woo-woo, that's not my jam, I'm like, that's my unfair advantage. That's my unfair advantage.
She's your energy coach.
She's amazing because when I get stuck, I'd rather talk to her because she can shift me out of that way faster than any mindset stuff anyone can do. Business coach, mastermind coach, energy coach, health coach, someone that watches my Whoop data. I get an email. If my Whoop data and my HRV drops, I'm like, hey, Sharan, what happened? Your HRV is like 18 and not 85. What did you do? That's my accountability. So someone watching my stuff, and then I have a therapist. I'm sorry, I talk to people.
I do too.
Right?
Oh, good, yeah.
Yeah, and like that's just hired support system. I'm telling you, this is not cheap, but I would not trade this for the world because I saw what other people had, and I was like, oh, you have an energy coach? I see a hole in, I added that, I'm like, this is amazing. The CEOs that I mentor, all of the CEOs that I mentor I pay for at least one consult with the energy coach just for them to see it. Because I'm like, you have to see it. So my job is I'm just trying to replicate other people's support systems because that allows me to be good. Does it get expensive? Yes. Can you do a smaller miniature version of this? Yes. But just allow yourself to get supported because now it's their job to support me. I've just outsourced all the support to them. So if I'm not feeling good, they feel bad, which is awesome, right? Yeah. Now I don't have to feel bad that I'm down. They feel bad that I'm down, which is fantastic. Totally. And that's exactly what you want, right? So getting other people to be in your corner, like Rocky, like you want your corner stacked, man. Oh, yeah. Just stack your corner and then you win so big because now all these people are referring me, are advising me, are connecting me, are waking up in the morning and like sending good vibes my way, are posting on my social media, are sending me text messages. All of them are fighting for me when I'm asleep. It's amazing.
Love it.
Yeah.
I mean, to build a business, to build a franchise, to build a local business, a fitness business, I mean, you need that supporting team.
Yeah, and by the way, like for folks that, you're like, well, I'm not in a place where I can afford that. I get it. Just let's go build a peer mastermind group. right? Maybe you talk to fit body owners and say, hey, can I get someone from Michigan? Can I get Maddie from Michigan? Can I get someone from Nevada? Can maybe I jump on Zoom 3 times a month for 30 minutes and be like, hey, I'm struggling with this. How did you solve that pricing issue? And they've already done this before, right? So, or they come to your masterminds, which is great, but at least you need to have that support system. You can manufacture it for almost no cost, but when you write the check, you're way more deserving of it. Yeah.
I love it. But it also goes back to being resourceful, at the end of the day.
Yeah.
In the absence of resources, be resourceful, figure it out, and put yourself out there to create the connection and teamwork and community.
Yeah. Singularity of focus, cadence of accountability. Last one, good process drives good results. Our job is to do whatever it takes. A business is not an offer. Like your jazz hands can only do that good. After a while, it's not about you anymore.
What do you mean that? What do you mean jazz hands? I mean, we all know
jazz hands, right? Like the person with the jazz hands, when the jazz hands stop working, show's over.
Yep.
But businesses got to keep running when your jazz hands stop, right? So if you need to take an extra minute to ensure that the form happens and the automation fires, if you need to make sure your CRM system is, like people will tell me, oh, I'm an artist, like I don't worry about the technology stuff.
Right.
I'm sorry, like that is not how it works. You have to take responsibility for good process because the world doesn't care that you're an artist. The world doesn't care that you don't like technology. What the world cares is there's a good process that drives a good result.
Yeah, the result, the outcome.
The outcome. And in today's world, dude, I hired a guy who I've never met to build like 3 Zapier automations for me for $25 from Estonia. I'm sorry, I never met the dude. I said, this is what I want to do. I wrote it down. He built it. I literally Venmoed him or whatever through Upwork, $25, right? Good process drives good results. And so if something is going well, our job is how can we make a better process out of it? Because that process is what is saleable. That process, like no one, if someone bought our business with 650 agents and they thought that they were buying me, they're dramatically mistaken. They were like, dude, get away. Like, we don't want you involved. We want all the cash, this money, business spits out. We don't want you. So I did my 6 months, I'm out, right? But they're buying, the process is the asset. I tell my team all the
process is the asset.
The process is the asset.
Yeah, I love that.
There are 3 things you want to do every single day. You want to make an offer. Wake up in the morning and say, how do I get more people to come to my gym? How do I get more people to buy my ebook? How do I get more people to buy my supplements? Make an offer saying, hey, we're doing a 10% off today. It doesn't matter. Make an offer. Number 2, help your community because goodwill in the bank is really good, right? Help your community. Number 3, build an asset. That can be a sales process, that can be an email sequence, that can be a funnel, that can be a script, that can be an automation. Because when you build a process, that process becomes an asset in your business. So when you're not involved anymore, it still works. My team right now, 3 things. Make an offer, serve your community, build an asset. Every single day. If you make an offer, serve your community, imagine the amount of good, like now you have in a week, you've made 5 offers, just work week, served your community 5 times and build 5 assets. You do that for 3 years, like your business is humming. Right? So now the team knows that that's what they have to do, and they'll be like, hey, Sharan, you didn't serve your community today. I'm like, oh, crap, Facebook Live, right? Something like that. So any business, always remember those 3 things. Singularity of focus, cadence of accountability, and good process drives good results.
Dude, gold. Last big topic before we shift to the lightning round, and it's interesting. I mean, the shows, focus on entrepreneurs and people who are interested in business and growing their businesses. But I feel like very rarely do I get to sit next to a guy who's actually sold and exited many businesses. So I know we don't have a ton of time, but if you can actually just maybe give the audience some insight to how you reverse engineer the process, because ultimately, whether a fitness business owner is going to grow the business for the long-term foreseeable future, whether they're going to pass it off to their children or where they're going to sell, there has to be some sort of exit strategy. So can you, I guess, showcase a little bit of your insight?
Yeah, so 2 things everybody needs to think about. Every business owner must build their business like they're thinking about selling it. This is not even a question. Every business owner must build their business like they're thinking about selling it. Because when a third party starts to review your business and they see insane value in it, maybe you're spitting out cash flow, maybe net income, maybe you got assets, you got a brand, whatever it may be. If you build it from the perspective of potentially selling it, you will build a better business. So every business owner, regardless of what business you're building in, whether you're thinking about not selling it at all, you should build your business from the perspective that you are going to sell it.
That's just like the mindset going in from day one.
100%. Because then you say, should I make this investment in this building? The question you ask is, will it increase the value of my business? Not, do I get a tax advantage? That's interesting, but does it increase the value of my business? Every business owner should think about, if you're writing the business plan, it's not to grow the business. If you're writing the business plan, it is, I'm going to start this so that I can build this so that it would potentially be worth this to someone else.
Right.
Super, that's number one. Number two, it's not about the sale, it's about the options. Come back to the word. It's not about the sale, it's about the options. I'll give you an example. When we were in the process of selling our business, it was really easy to sell it because we had way too many options. So when we were being courted by the buyer, I'd be like, you are welcome to buy it at this price. Otherwise, peace. Because I have a lot of options. I can open more stores. I can grow the business. I can franchise it. I can license it. I can do whatever. By the way, you don't want to do that? No problem. But while we're talking, I'm going to continue to grow my business because I have way too many options. And the more options you have, the more valuable your business becomes. The more options you have, the more you can do. Your job should always be more options.
So not necessarily options that you're presenting to the buyer, but options that you have in terms of different leverage points in your business.
Correct. So let's talk about the options. Hey, you can sell your business. You can run it yourself. You can run it yourself with a team, so you do a little bit of work, not a lot of work. You can have a business partner that runs your business and just split everything, where you do nothing, but you do only half of it, but you only get half of it now. You can grow it and have more stores, but then you only operate one and the others are operated by others, so you get some passive income. It's all options. The more, you always want to think about adding more options. The business that has more options is significantly more valuable to you and to the buyer. So when I am helping someone sell a business, I'm thinking, what other options do we have? Because the potential buyer is going to see that. And if they don't see a lot of options, they're going to hammer you. If they see a lot of options, they're going to say, we got to tread carefully, otherwise these guys are going to tell us to pound sand. So every business owner that I talk to, and some business owners, this is a lifestyle business, I'm going to do this forever. I appreciate that, but forever can change pretty quickly. Forever is like you have a family emergency, you get hit by a bus, you become randomly colorblind. Anything can happen, right? I have no idea. But a lot of times our business is run on our jazz hands. And if we just remove the jazz hands, what happens with that? So your business plan right now as a business owner, either starting out, building a franchise, even if you're a sole operator, going out and coaching clients at a random gym, you have a business, you have a book of business. Could you sell that? 100%. Dude, I have helped a personal trainer sell her business in Poughkeepsie, New York, before she moved to Atlanta, Georgia. Now, how do you do that? Hey, I have this book of clients. I coach them 4 days a week. I'm going to start saying, hey, Bryce wants to buy it. Great. Hey, Sharan, the client, Bryce is partnering up with me. He's going to do this lesson. He's going to be great. I'm going to do it together. So you do two lessons, one lesson together, kind of one workout together, and then you do the next. You alternate, and then in 3 months, Bryce has taken over. And now, Bryce is a baked-in business that Bryce bought, and there's a 25% referral fee on every fee made for 5 years that Bryce paid to that gal that moved to Poughkeepsie to Atlanta. So now the gal moved to Atlanta and just got free cash flow. So just because you are a personal trainer doesn't mean you don't have a business. You do. You should think about how you can package that and say, is my business worth something? There's always a way to unlock value from it.
What about a last learning lesson in terms of reverse engineering the process for someone who, again, maybe coming into this is like so fired up to get their business off the ground, but it's like, oh my goodness, Sharan, like now I realize I should probably start with the end in mind first. Any other strategies? Yeah,
so it's hard to do, but I'll tell you one thing that we did. Once you're stabilized, once a business is stabilized, I would take your business to market softly every year.
Even if you don't plan, or if you have no intention of actually selling it.
Correct. So I'll tell you what we did. We had no intention of selling our business.
And you're talking about
Tell us. We had no intention of selling our business. I soft pitched our business every year to about 3 to 5 big parties. So I'd walk in, I'd say, here's all our stuff. Here's our numbers, financials, business plan, whatever.
When you say, meaning like PowerPoint presentation, kind of give them a formal pitch.
I'd say, hey, I would tell them, hey, I'm thinking about selling.
Okay.
How would you like to? They're like, hey, they'd ask you for a list of diligence items. You just give them everything, right? It's one package. Based on that, they'll say, hey, awesome, we'd like to pay you $12. You go, great. I ask the question, what would it take for the 12 to be 25? And they say, well, Sharan, you don't have this, and this. I go, awesome. I take those 6 things, I hand it to my COO, and I say, this is our business plan for next year.
This is what we're going to do to get there.
Right. He just gave me the business plan. I just give it to them. Now, next year, I go back and say, hey, Mr. Dude, you told me if I did these 6 things, it would be worth 25. I did these 6 things, and I did 1 more. What do you think? Oh, now it's worth 25 plus 2, 27. But I'm a little greedy.
I'm going to get to 50.
I'm a little greedy. What does it take to get 35? He's like, well, you're just missing this, and this. These 4 things. I'm great. Hey, COO, here's my 4 things. Can you do that? Awesome. Next year, hey, you told me that if I did this, and this, it would be worth this. Oh, yeah, it's great. It's worth 35. But I'm greedy. What do I do if I get 47? It's like, wow, great. I did this for 4 years. And at the end, I got the number that I wanted. We're done.
Dude, that's incredible. I thought you were initially going for like market positioning, kind of a marketing play. You actually reverse engineering the process and how to actually increase the valuation of your business, hearing directly from what a potential buyer would look for.
Right, because now you also have the relationship with the buyer, right? I can be like, hey, I did this. What do you think I should do? Would you do this? Now you have, so now if things go awry, I just call the buyer. I don't have to run a process. It doesn't have to be adversarial, none of it. I had the relationship with all the buyers, and they were like, oh, Sharan's such a nice guy. Because he does what he says. Every time I give him advice, he goes and works on it. I'm like, this is amazing. So going to market also allows you to know whether you're building a valuable business.
Totally.
And even a business broker, if you hire them to sell your business, will tell you, I can only get you $1 million for this. They will tell you. And if they tell you that, fine. At least you know, right? The best advice I can give someone starting a business now is, take your business to market, or at least have a business broker look at it, pretend like you're going to sell it. You don't have to sell it. You will know very quickly what it's worth. And if they say, hey, it's worth 500 grand, but you're making 500 grand a year, you're like, well, I might not sell this. Cool, no problem. At least you made an intelligent and informed decision. Right? Everybody wants to make an intelligent, informed decision. You can't make it because it's like, oh, I think my business is worth so much, but it's not.
It's not, right.
Right. So, but if you take it to market every year, you at least know what decisions to make to increase its value.
And last question on this, when you're taking your business to market every year, like, what year did it occur to you actually selling it versus just actually going through the process to increase the valuation?
I had no intention of selling it. We got to the point where the number just starts to look so stupid. You're like, well, I'm done. And at some point, you say that will pay for all of it. So, and it's good for everybody.
Yeah.
It has to be good for everybody. Otherwise, you're not doing the right thing. But you'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. No.
Heck yeah, man.
Yeah.
Dude, so much gold. I know I have a few minutes left.
Yeah.
You've been so gracious with your time. I'm going to transition to the lightning round if you're up for it.
Lightning round.
Passion, man. You're a passionate dude. What would you say is one of the biggest things you're passionate about today, and why?
I'm super passionate about seeing my kids develop. I had this conversation with my dad, and he said to me something pretty amazing. He said, we've always been in this mode of, how do I make my parents proud? And my dad was like, I wanted that to stop with my generation. He told me that. He's like, I don't want you to feel that way. He goes, I flipped the switch and I said, how do I make my son proud? And like, that gives me goosebumps because he's like, you have nothing to prove to me, Sharan. You have a lot to prove to your kids. So it's a chance for me to wake up and say, how do I make my kids proud? And that's way harder, right? And that's not yelling at them. That's giving them a better future. That's thinking about them 30 years from now. No handouts, but how do you make them proud? And that's something I've been thinking a lot about. I'm really excited about watching them grow and kind of being a part of that.
Dude, for all the business advice you just laid down, I'm going to think about that for a very long time. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Next up, we talked about all the success, man, and you're just like a super sharp, passionate, just likable guy. For all the success you've had, can you be a little vulnerable? What would probably be one of your lowest entrepreneurial and or life moments?
Just too many to count. The first time I've taken investor money before, and in several different initiatives. But till today, and I've lost investor money, I've made investors lots of money. But till today, I still remember the first time I lost an investor money. He has no issues with it. He loves me for it. He's invested with me since then multiple times. But every time I see him, my hands shake because I feel like I let him down. And money responsibility is not for the faint of heart. Mm-hmm. It's that I could have easily gone to the point of I never take investor money again, mm-hmm. but that's being irresponsible for them and for me. But the support system I talked about, mm-hmm. I talk about not getting over, like rewriting the story over and over again. It still goes back to, it makes me feel sad, insignificant, feel like I let somebody down, which is a really tough thing when I think about, hey, even though I've made it back for him, mm-hmm. I still lost him money. And I'll probably hold on to that for a while.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah.
On the flip side, what's one of the most proudest moments, whether it be business or life?
Well, you know, a lot of times it's very hard to find somebody who will want to put up with you. And my wife knew it going in what she was getting into. And it takes a special kind of woman to be like, this guy is a total loon. He is like super eccentric. He's going to be, you know, a handful to be around. And yet I'm going to say yes and marry this guy and deal with his idiosyncrasies every single day. Like, she's a saint. She's a saint for dealing with all of it and putting up with it. And if you add to that support system without her, like it all breaks down. Mm-hmm. And so a really big high is, you know, just my wife choosing to say, hey, you know what, I'll support you on this crazy journey.
Yeah, good for you both.
Yeah.
You've made a career in giving great coaching and consulting advice, and giving great advice to other people. What would you say is one of the best pieces of advice you've ever received, and why?
I got this really great piece of advice from my mentor. His name is Walter Schneider. Walter is a super cool guy. He lives in Toronto, Canada. He owns 1/3 of the world in Remax. So he has 41,000 agents around the world. Just built it with his bare hands and knows what he's doing. He said, you don't risk the empire for a pot of gold. And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you don't risk the empire for a pot of gold. There's a lot of times the pot of gold, as we are talking, should be shiny object. Mm-hmm. Right? It's very easy to say, oh, I'm going to switch CRM systems. I'm going to go down and buy that building. I'm going to invest in this deal. Ooh, I'm a startup investor. It's very easy to say that, but you're risking the empire for a pot of gold. And he told me, we had this many people, never risk the empire for a pot of gold. And a lot of times before I'm doing something that feels a little shiny objecty, I ask myself, a pot of gold's a pot of gold, but don't risk the empire for a pot of gold.
It's interesting. It's good.
Yeah.
Made me think.
Yeah.
Habits are foundational to success, and certainly you've had a ton of it. What's been a habit you picked up over the last decade or so that's been really instrumental in moving the needle for you?
It's not even a question. I don't even have to think twice about it. I've realized that the commitment to your morning routine is so important, and I've realized that it's super hard for people to stay committed to it. It was hard for me to stay committed to it, which is why almost 7 years ago I started this thing called the 5 a.m. Club. It's 5 minutes at 5 a.m., a regular phone call. I started with 3 people, became 30, became 300. Today we have over 9,000 people in this community, over 3,000 people on daily calls. We do this 5-minute call 7 days a week, 365 days a year. I've done over 1,000 calls for just 5 minutes. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, I probably have 9,000 people that are waiting on me, so I can't sleep in, I can't hit snooze. And that is the best accountability system.
I was about to say the second bullet point in your accountability system, that just reigns supreme.
That's it. That's it. And so otherwise, you're just like, I'll just sleep in today. Mm-hmm. And fixing that as there's only one alarm on my phone. It's 4:45. I wake up at 4:45 every single day. And it just made life a lot easier. Just make decisions a lot easier. There's no yes or no. That is the only time. So you just fix everything else, organizes itself around it. Now, am I a crazy person for that? Am I a morning person? No. But that time allows me to think, to grow. It allows me to you versus you time. Like I beat myself. And I'm like, I'm up, right? And I have to be up and coherent because I have to deliver a message in the morning. Mm-hmm. So it's not just me rolling out of bed. I never ever thought I would do that. I never ever thought I would continue it, but I'm never going to give that up. I'm going to do the 5 a.m. Club for the rest of my life. I don't charge for it. It's totally free. 5amclub.net.
5amclub.net.
5amclub.net. Totally free. No, you don't get sold anything. Just be on this call, and you get to hear me or a couple other hosts every single day. 5 a.m. Pacific time. So if you're on the East Coast, you're totally cheating because it's 8 a.m.
8 a.m.
But you should at least do that. It's 5 a.m. every single day, 365 days a year.
Dude. Oh, Sharan, this has been so good. I have one last question for you. You've added so much value over the last hour or so. But for our audience who are interested in fitness and business and entrepreneurship and making an impact, being a better version of themselves, what would you say is the last piece of parting wisdom?
Transformations don't happen in isolation. Transformations do not happen in isolation. It is way easier to take this big lofty goal and just hand that to somebody else. If I could go back 20 years, if I could go back to my teens and do one thing differently that would completely change the trajectory of my career, it would be to get a paid coach or mentor. Now, when I say paid, I say that for a very specific reason. The money is a symbol of seriousness. That's all it is. It's not like, oh, you're rich, you can pay. No, the money is a symbol of seriousness. Just as $100 may be a lot for you and $1,000 may be a lot for me, whatever that may be, but it's a symbol of seriousness. I write a check, that's a symbol of seriousness. Mm-hmm. And when you do that, two things happen. It's not just a symbol of seriousness for you, it is a symbol of seriousness for you, Bryce, as my coach. Because now you're like, Sharan wrote me this check, I better show up, mm-hmm. I better get there to support him. If not, you're gonna let me down, mm-hmm. right? So a lot of times people think coaching is about, I write the check so that I don't let myself down. No, you write the check so that your coach doesn't let you down. There cannot be a better bond that you can have. If you can accomplish anything if you just find the right mentor, write them the check, how much ever you can afford, because that is a symbol of seriousness, and serious people win.
Mic drop. Sharan, man, you are awesome. Before we shoot, where can our audience connect with you at?
The easiest way is two places. Sharran.com. Sharran.com is my website. But most importantly, I just want, go to 5amclub.net. Even if you're not interested in doing it, just get on it. You'll get the emails, you get the messages, you get all of it. There's no sales. It's just our gift to you. So 5amclub.net or Sharran.com.
Dude. Sharan, before we go, I just want to acknowledge you, man. You are awesome. I know I've been just teasing and harassing you for the last handful of months to get you on the show. And the one, first and foremost, for all the success you've had, I just like you. You're just a likable guy. You're a giver. I always tease with you. You're like the brains, and you also have the communication. You're the whole package. And it's no secret for all your success. And you've added a ton of value to our audience today, a ton of value to me. And I just want to thank you for showing up and being who you are.
Hey, man, I appreciate it. A lot of people don't realize how hard it is to commit to putting on a show, to showing up, to deliver, to find people to be on who you sort, filter so they can have great value to your audience. It takes a lot of effort. The team's here to support us, but it takes a lot of effort to do that. And for people, it's just a scroll and a play, but there's a lot more that happens than just that. And so I just want to thank the team. Thank you guys for inviting me to be here and share. There's a lot more that goes into it than just what people see, so appreciate it.
Absolutely. Well, friends, I know you got a ton of value. Assuming you did, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe on YouTube and write us an awesome review on iTunes. That we can keep producing this content for you for free. So that's all for today. Sharan, thank you again, buddy.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.